Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? Welcome to this our crossover hangout. That's what I'm going to call it, a crossover hangout. Where we're going to be looking at 2022, which is expiring. The year don't tire. We are at the very, very last days of 2022, and so we just want to hang out and just relax and talk about 2022 and review what happened in 2022. What I will promise you is that you're going to be shocked. Just a little exercise I did a while ago, it shocked me to realize that we've come through so much this year. There's a lot of things that have happened, and you just keep, just getting on with life, and you've forgotten a lot of them. But you see, it's important that from time to time you pause and you reminisce on these things. You go back and look at them, because in doing so, you'll be able to put things in a better perspective as you plan to go into 2023. From a long time ago, from my days in Family Worship Center under leadership of Pastors Enalego Omako and Pastor Sarah Omako, they always insisted that we have something they call retreats. When I say something they call retreat, it's not like it's a new word. Retreat is already an existing word, but they make you go on a retreat. This was a period where you pulled yourself away from everything, your work, like you plan ahead of it. That period, you take out time and you go to a secluded area. Some people book a hotel, some people go out to the countryside or go to a place where you would not be disturbed, and you shut the door on yourself. You're also asked to do some kind of fasting if you can. And that's usually a period where you detoxify yourself. And when your brain is open, you now bring out your pen and paper and you begin to plan the year ahead. And usually come out of that experience fully loaded. You're loaded and you're ready for the year that is coming ahead. So, based on that, I always advise people around me to do this, take out time and look at where you're coming from, all the things that have happened this year. We're going to be looking at so many issues. We're going to be looking at politics, we're looking at insecurity, music, movies, celebrity life, reality shows, deaths, real life dramas, inventions and breakthroughs, sudden deaths, deaths that shocked everybody, events that shocked everybody. We'll look at sports, look at the recently concluded World Cup, look at religion. How does it affect us? What events were remarkable in religion this year? Disasters, conflicts, you know, uh, gun violence, and other kinds of violence that occurred in several parts of the world. Relationships, weddings that really made our hearts very joyful. Marriages that made us very happy. Excuse me. And then breakups that were shocking to us that we didn't expect. All these are what we'll be looking at. Today is the first edition. We're going to be doing it today. We're going to be doing it tomorrow and next tomorrow, and then on Sunday we have a special guest, Moyele Shore, who will be with us on the 1st of January. So I have, like I said, I have guests that I'm expecting. If any of you is already watching, please click on the studio link and use that to join, because I know maybe you clicked on the viewing link. But if you did, please click on the studio link. I'm going to resend it here in the message section so that you can click on it and join us, because that's where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be part of our guests. Some of our guests will be able to join us tomorrow. We are also aware that this is a holiday season and a lot of people are busy. You know, they're on holiday. They will get to watch this after. Even if you watch this from now till the end of January, it will still be relevant, because you'll see people talk about issues that are close to your heart, and you'll be able to put it in perspective and you'll be able to say, oh wow, is this really what happened? And this is how we're going to go about this in the coming year. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you miss this live broadcast, don't worry about it. You can play it and then you'll be able to know the things that happen. So I'm waiting for my guests. I'm supposed to have 3 guests today, and I'm going to have some more tomorrow and next tomorrow. I want you to help me share this broadcast, share the video, invite people. These are not, sometimes it's not the kind of topic that people are excited about, but you know what? These are realities that we must attend. We must attend to them. So it is important that we don't shy away from things like this. We don't shy away from discussing issues. Okay, we don't shy away from discussing events, no matter how sometimes painful they are, no matter uh, how they affected us, how we would want to forget them. But it is important that we attend to these issues, we talk about them, and use that to as a yardstick you might not get the effect that you want, but if you know me very well, you know that we don't give up. We start something and we'll keep on at it until we get the result that we want. Okay, so today is the first day. I'll move my chair so I'll be in the center. It's the first day, and we will continue to do the program until we get to the point that we want. I have like I said, I have another guest here, Benny. Benny, I can see your channel, but I can't see your camera. I hope you'll be able to sort it out. So I'll take you off, and when I see your camera come on, I'll be able to bring you in. But let's start the discussion. Okay, let's. I have a list of topics that I wanted to discuss. Um, I like to talk. Okay, let me also give you a number where you can call. Okay, so that's a calling number. You can call in this number if you're not able to come online. But it's more interesting when we have people come online. Um, Chukuma Ephraim. How are
Yeah,
you, Chuma?
yeah, greetings, Chid. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Okay, it's good to have you. Thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah,
I'm also I'm also expecting other people to join in. But Choma, it's always a pleasure to have you on my show. You are someone who you are well you're well versed in so many areas. So I'm confident whenever I have you on the show. So you're very welcome.
thank you so much.
Merry Xmas.
Yeah, wish you the same
How
from
was
this end.
how was your Christmas?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah,
I hope
yeah.
you didn't overfeed yourself and overdrink.
It was quite very interesting to be back home.
Abby.
Because I think I came in from the US within that week,
Yeah,
as I went for an event on the
yeah,
invitation of the US government.
yes.
And nice to be back to Coal City and to continue with the hustle and bustle
Abby.
and
Yeah,
the politics of Coal City and the Southeast. Yeah,
sure. We're going to talk about a lot of topics, like I already told people. But now that, let me just, I mean, we'll be doing it randomly. Um, how how is Christmas this year in the coal city? Paint the picture of the environment this year? What did it look like?
I think basically the city was quite flooded with people. Unlike before, maybe like on 25th, 26th, you have like many people striving to get to the village and all the rest. I mean, basically, it's you could basically see that mix. Yeah, people trying to like measure up with the demands, but it's obvious that the austerity on ground, the hardship on ground. I mean, people will have learned to live with the reality. You know that this season will come and go, and if you don't actually manage well, you could actually be faced with a worse situation. Maybe you are faced with poverty, and then by the virtue of wanting to spend much more than what you have, that could be converted to like austerity or penury. And so I think people are becoming wiser. That of course those that could afford was able to like do themselves favors of extending the hand of fellowship to some of our brothers in the village. And I
Mm.
think basically that's commendable.
But will you think that because I know that usually why I'm asking you this is because I know that in the coal city, just like in so many city centers, during Christmas like this, the roads are usually empty. Like you don't see people. But now they're talking about seeing people. Do you think it is connected with the insecurity that we're experiencing now in our villages, and even especially in the southeast eastern part of Nigeria.
Honestly, that's also a factor. In fact, I was talking with one of the state functionaries 2 days ago, who, like all the celebration, I mean, he was celebrating really large. And I said, this would have been nice if you were doing it back home in the village. I mean, to slaughter cow, call a suya man to make suya, and then serving lots of drinks, and there's booze everywhere. And he said he would have loved to do that in the village, but for one thing, the concerns that he could actually be kidnapped, maybe on his way to the village, or probably, and he also cited the instance of one particular political actor who is a member of the House of Representatives, who we know that some assailants stormed his house during the last local government election, attempting to kill him. He was only saved by the fact that he has a bunker in his house,
Mm,
which his own self and the family had to scamper for safety. So he made that, he referenced that particular incident, and I saw reasons with him. It was also like part of the concerns why, personally, I try to like also like cut down on my activities towards the rural areas, because I mean, when you talk about the three major axes, I think one out of three of the senatorial district is the only one that is relatively safe, and that's where you are talking about the Enugu West axis. But Enugu East, where you have on Kano West, and Kano East, we've really have a fair share of the insecurity. Same also with Nsukka, Enugu North, and all of the local governments that are there. So sometimes, when you consider that even like some renowned, eminent sons of Enugu have also at one point been abducted, and then with ransoms demanded, and even in some cases where like the kidnappers could actually outsmart the security architecture or built up around the political actor to still make away with the person. I mean, for you, if you don't have like four police officers going with you can imagine how terrible it could be with you.
mm.
Or if only possibly you don't have. So I think the wisdom there is that many people have actually like reduced their travel. And just like that just like 3 days to Christmas in Enugu, there were also like incidents of oppression, allegedly from the Fulani herdsmen, killing some people in Enugu. And then we saw the governor of the state, like, getting into to negotiate. And regrettably, also, like a lot of farms were burnt. Of course, one of the people that was largely affected, Mr. Keno Sodema, who is well known to you, who also ran for governorship election. I mean, he lost lots of portion of his farm in hectares alongside with other farmers. So that's really the sad thing about this year's Christmas. I think
Wow.
it's affected, yes, insecurity and some other things. Yeah.
Chuma, thank you so much. Before I go further, please, I'd like you to introduce yourself so people who are listening know who you are, and when they hear what you're saying, they will understand why you have this wealth of knowledge and information. So please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. I'm Choko Mai from Okenwa. Basically, I'm a school administrator. I own and run a group of schools by the name Queen's Model Schools. I equally serve with as a board member the post-primary school management board at the state level. But beyond that, an honorary fellow of the Defense Intelligence College, a member of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, and also this year I had the privilege of representing West Africa at the United Nations in Geneva for the Science Diplomacy Anticipator Program. The inauguration cohort where I was selected to represent West Africa amidst 30 others globally. So basically, and also a renowned public affairs analyst. We're always in the news. And so if you may do well to Google my name after now, we're always speaking. And of course, I have a solid background in activism, civil society, and also the founder and executive director of Lead Network Africa. LEAD is the acronym for Leadership, Entrepreneurship, and Advocacy Network. And finally, this is also very important to me. And of course, the author of the masterpiece Think Global, one of the Amazon bestsellers. Yeah. So thank
Good.
you, Chid, for the opportunity. Yeah.
It was important that that you said this because I know who you are. I know how I came to know Chukuma when I was running for governorship of Enugu State. So it's not even like I just heard of him. I got to meet with him, interacted with him, and he helped me and so many other candidates during that election. So he's the kind of person. From that moment, we formed a very, very good relationship that has really, really helped each of us. He's the kind of person that I would recommend for anybody, and he's real. He's real. That's one thing I can say about him. He's real. I hate people who are fake, who just drop names or say they are this and that. But when it comes to the doing, you don't see them. Chuma is somebody who what he says is what he does. And he's a big man as you see him here. He's just so humble, carrying himself like a regular person. He's really he's really a truly a real big man. He's a real big man, like any big man in the Nigerian context. So, but Chuma, I like what you do. Keep doing what you do, and you're an
Yeah. Thank you so
inspiration
much.
to this generation. And
Th-
I'm gonna come back to you. I also have a very old time brother of mine that would go years back. He's the person of Benny Obai. Benny is also someone who has a wealth of knowledge and information. And see me, it's not about me. Let me brag a little bit. I don't, I don't roll with people who are not somebody. Honestly, if you see me with somebody, that means they are somewhere that they can add value to my life. You see that they are very, very bigger than me. They're always bigger than me in one aspect of life. And there's something they have that I want. So I come very close to them. I hold them dearly to me, and we impact each other. I don't if you're somebody who doesn't add values, you're somebody who is just complacent, lazy, I don't see progress in you. I would do, if you call my phone and I see your number ringing, I would not answer. I would dodge you. So Benny is those kind of people that you want to be friends with and you want to take them seriously. Benny, you're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, those are lovely comments from you, and hello to everyone. And I thank you for this opportunity. I always follow your shows, and you're quite enlightening and entertaining. Well, some entertaining, some provide a lot of information, and I am one of those people that believe that we we need to create this kind of platform that you have in order to help a lot of people become aware of what is happening in the society, make informed decision about life choices, and find solutions to common problems. Because just like my brother that spoke before me, when we have insights into this kind of informations, or the kind of challenges that we're faced with, then it becomes easy to start finding um, solutions to them. Probably just to jump into it. I'm not well versed like my brother in on the issues that are happening in Nigeria. I've been out of Nigeria for a while, but I've been involved in things in Africa and so on. But one of when it comes to reflection, my background, I'm a sociologist, and I like to look at what's happening around me. And one of the key takes for me is the level of youth involvement in politics in this year. Over the years, there have been a lot of complaints that youth are not involved, they don't get actively involved, but there seems to be this awakening among young people to get involved at different levels. Now, a lot of people complain about disruption, young people that are very disruptive, abusive, and so on. The thing is, whenever something starts, it doesn't start in as a finished product. When you're building a car, you don't have a car that is finished. You have a car that has different pits, comes in different, there are a lot of things that are not all together. So for me, the joy is that people are getting involved, people are speaking out, people are, whether they are disruptive, whether they are chaotic, whether they are whatever form or shape you're taking, the point is that people are beginning to realize that there is something wrong and we need to do something about it, which is a positive sign from a sociological perspective, because there has to be that awakening in people. There has to be that light that is kindled in people. And then whether it's raging and creating confusion and commotion, the first thing is, first of all, ignite that passion, that zeal, that desire in people. It doesn't matter in which direction it's going. Then once you have that awakening, then it becomes easy to start channeling them. Some scholars believe that the worst human being to work with is a human being without any awakening. Very docile, doesn't care about anything, just live life, like sleep, wake up, okay, if whatever is happening in the world doesn't bother me. So the fact that the young people have started getting involved, are beginning to make noise on social media, make noise, um all over the place, is a good sign. And it's happening in Nigeria, it's happening across the different countries in Africa. Yes, the media might see the negative side of those disruptive activities, but that's where platforms like this become important, to start raising up some of those issues that people are discussing and start saying, what do we then need to do? How do we then guide the people that are agitating, that are raising questions, that are uh, being chaotic, being disruptive? How do we how do we channel it into something more productive that would bring about a positive change in the society? Um, when we talk about issues of insecurity, um, sorry to digress a bit, but it's also a way of people expressing their frustration. When people have when people are gainfully engaged, when people have things they are doing, you would it will be it will not be as easy as it is right now, to get people to engage in unproductive activities. So I think that the onus is on a lot of us, especially using this platform, to say, how do we start rechanneling those energies? Those people that are engaged in um, in acts of insecurity, they have energy, they have something that can be utilized. Those are
Wow.
workforce, those
Uh,
are
Benny,
people that
Benny,
can be
sorry I'm
utilized in
cutting you.
something positive.
Sorry, sorry I'm cutting you, Benny. You just touched on something that is important, and I want us to talk about it a little bit. But just now that people have heard you talk, go ahead and introduce yourself formally so they know who they are speaking with.
Okay. Where do I start? Okay, my name is Benny Obai. From Enugu State. I studied briefly in Nigeria before I went to South Africa, where I completed my doctorate in sociology and economics. I'm more of development economist. I've been working in the sector of development economics for some years now. I'm the head of Child Welfare South Africa. It's an advocacy um, group that deals with the welfare of children in Southern Africa, and also heading a group of different networks also in Southern Africa. My area of focus and passion has always been about the development of children and young people, helping young people find focus and rechannel their focus into something good. So my area of whether it's advocacy, policy issues, development issues has always been focused on issues that affect children and young people.
Thank you so much, Benny. Thank you very much. So now you know why Benny is my friend and my brother, because he's not people who are lazy like you saw him talk about complacent people. They're the ones that get missed calls on my phone. And let me go back. Let me go back. So you call me all the time. You call me and you say, why is it that every time I call you, I don't get this thing from you? I'll just apologize. But now you know why. Maybe you need to get busy and start doing something. All right. Chukuma, Benny raised this issue about insecurity, about people who are involved in insecurity. Looking at this 2022, wow, there's been a lot of incidences, and let's just breeze through some of them. Starting from where you are, which is Enugu State. Incidentally, I don't know, I'd not planned, but by coincidence, all of us are from Enugu State. I didn't plan this. I didn't think about it, but it just happened because I have so many other guests who are going to come on who don't even. It was just that it happened, but I guess maybe it happened for a reason. So since we're all from Enugu State, let's look at the incidences. This year, more than any other year, I have been so shocked that Enugu State will be in the news as much as we were in the news, and especially for the wrong reasons, you know. So let's look at some of those insecurities. Chukoma, you are on ground most of the times. You travel around, but at least you I can say you have more first-hand information more than all of us. Let's identify some of them and the actors. Then we look at Nigeria and we look at even insecurity all around the world, because we're reviewing 2022 and how these events impacted our lives in 2022.
Okay, thank you so much. Perhaps I could maybe categorize the kind of insecurity we have. We try to like classify it into five. The commonest before now, like we know, is what is popularly described in the news as farmers' headers clash. You
Fulani
know,
headsmen clash.
yes.
I know you're
I
you
say
see,
describe
you
what has been described in the news. and not by me, but described in the news to someone that is out there.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, and of course, we've seen that like in the communities and like a lot of oppression. And then sadly, from there, we began to see like some little pockets of violence, communal violence, which like states like Ebonyi was known for, Ebonyi and Anambra. It became a strange development in Enugu where you could see like brothers fighting communities, like in the case of in Abof, where some people like really fought a lot of lives, much more than any headers clash. Some saying that they are the freeborns, the other ones are slaves,
Sorry,
right?
sorry. This your audio was cut. So once you said just like in, we didn't hear the town
Yes,
information.
just like in Abof, right? And some other communities, we began to see like, in fact, there was one that happened around this Suso. Brothers fighting against brothers and resulting to loss of life, right? That's also became like a source of concern. A development that is entirely strange. Yes, I know that particularly in Nkanu, the issue of freeborn and slave, has been a concern. So many people, it's been an issue of discussion, but we've not seen that like oftentimes develop into violence, communal level, requiring intervention of the states. This year we saw that, and of course it started out from last year. And then over time now, we begin to see like the ones that are IPOB related, as it has to do with the Monday sit at home, you know. So, when you try to go out on such days, there are like repercussions, right? We cannot specifically say who are those that are responsible, for some of those, related forms of clashes. But then, one of the ones that, non-developed and everyone became like afraid within the city is the one of the kidnapping. Like it became very regular, very common. Kidnapping for ransoms, or sometimes under the pretext of kidnap, it could actually be assailants and looking for like people to kill. We've not had it like this before. I mean, one of the ones, until you've actually been part of like having someone from an inner cycle, suffering the same thing, and then where you have to like also like have to suffer both emotionally and also dipping your hands into the pocket to support the ransom.
Mm.
Probably you may not be able to like get the full gist, but I've actually I found myself in a situation like that, right? Where I have like a close associate having the mother-in-law trapped in a den for close to 2 weeks,
Wow.
with lots of threats. And I mean, when the woman even came out from the dungeon after the family must have paid a ransom of about 5 million, right? We all contributed. But they started pricing from 40 million.
Wow.
The woman almost passed out. It took like months in the hospital to get her fully recovered. And immediately after that, she ran away from the country, like entirely, because the stigma, she had to resign from a federal civil service job. She worked as an accountant at, UNTH, but she had to leave the job entirely because the trauma, so that could actually tell you what it means, what it looks like when someone have the mom trapped, and then what about the victim? So
Chukuma,
these are like became
can I tell you something that
yes.
people don't realize? Because there's someone that traveled back home, and I was telling him to be very careful. Oh. And he called me from back home and he said, Chidi, you people that are on social media, I think you over exaggerate things. That is not as bad as you think. You see, if you hear 10 cases online in a month, that means there were about 100 cases. I'm not exaggerating. Do you know why? Because most people who get kidnapped, they don't tell the story. The kidnappers tell them that we have your number. We know the school that your child is attending. We know your church. We know your grandmother who is in the village. We know if we hear this anywhere, we will go and kill this person and kill this person. So for life, these people feel traumatized. So the case happens to them, and it is not reported. So you can imagine where 10 people were kidnapped. It's usually maybe one person who maybe they left the city or they traveled abroad. They can talk about their story. You know, the rest will never talk about that story. So all of those ones that you don't hear about, if we were able to hear all the stories, that's when people will understand how how wide and how deep this thing has eaten into our society. That's the comment I wanted
You're
to
very
Um,
correct
can I
because even like
can
yes,
I
yes,
make
yes,
a quick comment?
go ahead.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yes. I just want to support what Kid said. One of the things I also didn't add is that I recently moved to Canada, and you know that the people in the Western world, one incident is a crisis. We need to change that mindset that because it happened to one person, it is not a problem. The difference between us and the people in the West is that one incident is a crisis. It should not happen. We don't have to wait until everyone is killed we before we term it a crisis. And that's what brought about my introduction. The fact that just like the case of the lawyer in Nigeria that was killed by the police. There are so many others, but people are using it to say this is one too many. So so I think what we should focus on is changing that narrative of people saying because one case was highlighted in the social media is not bad. No, let's change that mindset to say if it happens at all, it is a crisis.
Thank you.
You're very correct. You're very correct. And in all honesty, the fact the situation is that bad that you know when it happens to you, you just have to like find a solution, find a way around it. Because the best probably you could get from authorities is maybe condolence message, right? And then with a promise that the perpetrators will be brought to book.
Let's go. What
You
you're talking
know,
about? No, tell me when you let's face facts. Yeah, I know you're very diplomatic with the way you you answer. At least, if nothing else, you're living right in the middle of a lion's den. But when you call police about a kidnap, they're not going to. The first thing they'll ask you is, "So have they contacted you? And we're going here. Have they contacted you?" If you say no, I say just wait now, wait. Let them contact you. And when they contact you, don't give anybody the number. Bring the number to us. They'll not say, "Have you people gathered the money? Because we have to help you deliver it." You see, they just that's that. You start telling you the sequence. Okay, now that they've kidnapped the person, the next thing is they're going to contact you. And if they've not contacted you now, don't worry, they will contact you. And when they've contacted you, hey, the number, give us the number. And have you people gathered any money? Don't do you want the person to die? When you gather the money, then we will now communicate and take the money to them. I begin to suspect that
okay, but do you know the interesting thing?
yes.
Actually, police officers that talk this way are the caring ones who
Oh,
actually understand. Yes, they actually understand the implication that if you don't pay, since they don't have all of the tech, they don't have the surveillance,
mm,
they don't have like anything to really like authenticate who are those really behind this. And even in some cases, where there are, it's possible there is some level of compromise, and so they know. So sometimes, like we've seen, like lots of cases, you meet the government players, and say, "See, there is a case of kidnap," and then someone tells you, "Don't pay, give us the number. We are going to storm the place where allegedly they stay. We are going to do this," and then at the end of the day, you end up losing the person, right? And this has happened like severally, like where you try to like use force.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think security and safety should go together. The idea of safety would be to forestall even the chances of such thing even happening. You know, for people to move freely psychologically, knowing that my government is watching over me, right? The government have the details of every citizens. It's really like of recent, Nigeria saw the need as a classroom to have register when we started the NIN, the National Identification Number. But over the years, as a nation, we've operated without register, without really a database to either validate the registration of the SIM card, the bank verification number, because when you don't have that grand database from which you can use to authenticate or even validate all others, then it means you don't have any security in place because anybody could just come in just rightly before the NIN, go to any local government, collect local government identification, right? And the indigenship. And the next thing is with that, you can get your NIN. So it was just as simple as that. You don't need to go to any refugee camp, provided you were around when the registration was on. So when a police officer actually tells you and say, okay, see, because during those time also we contacted police officers and they gave us two options. First option is that if they get into the, trying to use force, we could actually lose the woman, right? And then the second option is that, okay, fine, you get into negotiation, you keep us away, and then once there is an offer, try to negotiate and all the rest of it. And then with that, you are sure that the likelihood of getting the woman back is up to 70. And I think that made lots of sense because even government pays ransom down to federal government. You understand?
Yes, so
Because when you
yes. Talking about that. In I think from last year, I think it was more rampant last year than this year, but we saw the federal government paying ransom. We saw state governors, El Rufai, paying ransom to recognize. It's not that these people are unknown gunmen, unknown any. These people, you know where they are, you know their location. They come with Okada. If somebody is coming to see you with Okada, that means they didn't travel from Lagos to Enugu now, and they travel within a short distance. So they are within an area that your radar should cover. That is one thing, Benny, that really, really amazes me. What amazes me is that when you see even Enugu, for instance, right now, do you know how big Enugu is? There is no part of Enugu that you will not cross. See, it won't take you more than 2 to 3 hours to go from one end of Enugu to the other end. If you move now from the Nkano side,
Obola for yes,
let's even say
okay,
exactly from Obola for where you enter Enugu State, and you go
yeah,
all the way, go through the Port Harcourt Expressway, and you
yes,
get to
yes,
Okigwe, where you're now
yes,
entering
yes,
Imo State. How long is that, Biko? How
yeah.
long?
At least it's about if it's about 2 hours,
Oh,
it's about two
maximum.
hours.
Or
Yes,
you take
yes,
from Abakaliki side
about two
and you
hours.
go
Yes,
all the way to the boundary to Anambra State there. It's about the same 2 hours. So you can cover the whole of Enugu in 2 hours. And you're telling me that when these people kidnap and they move, and you can get to everybody, you can know their hideout. That's one thing I don't, up to today, I find it difficult. These places are known, and I don't know why. I'll just be sounding like a broken record when I say I don't know what the government is doing, because this is something we've kept on, you know.
Yeah, I think I can also help you expand on that thought. You see, most times some of our scholars or some of the people in government try to make it seem as though we have a very complicated society. Um, I understand the benefit of and the national identity. Um, that should have been done 1,000 years ago. But you see, like Chidi described, we live a very communalistic social life in Nigeria. We do not live isolated life like in the West. If I'm from Nsukka, for instance, there's nobody in Nsukka that doesn't know what happens in every house. They know the house that belongs to a criminal. They know the house that belongs to a thief. They know the man that was caught in Indonesia with drugs. We know about everyone's activity. So if anybody tells you it's difficult to fish out criminals, they're just lying, because we know we get involved in our lives, in our everyday lives. And like you're saying, there is not possible that in a place like Enugu, somebody is kidnapped and kept in a place and nobody knows. Because we know what happens in every house, whether it's a rundown apartment, whether it's uncompleted building, whether it is a residential house. We have a way of knowing what happens in everyone's house. We know the man that is beating his wife and children even when we don't go to his house. We know the man. So it's difficult for anyone to explain to us and say, this is the reason why we cannot apprehend kidnappers, because these people do not, they are not um, unidentified flying objects that, come down, kidnap the people and vanish into the space. These people are people from the community. So somebody is hiding something because they're benefiting from it. That's my view. It's not like it cannot be eradicated. I'll give you an example. Growing up, then in Nsukka, if there is an armed robbery case, it will always be found because they know the person. They know whether the person came from outside of Nsukka or from within Nsukka, because they know the person who roams the street, who doesn't have a job. They can always pinpoint the robbery and fish out the person and recover the goods, because we live a very communalistic social life, a social way of life. We don't live in isolation. We don't have um, a system where you don't, you know, um, look through your neighbor's windows or through your neighbor's fence to know what's happening. So I find it difficult, like you were saying, to understand why we can't fish out those people. So my only theory is some people are benefiting from it. It's helping someone's political agenda. It's helping someone's economic agenda, and that's why they do not want to deal with it.
Thank you so much, Chuma. And before I go to you, we just had a big fish enter the studio, and the person of Mr. Ebenezer Komolafe. Ebi, you're welcome. And I know you're enjoying yourself. Don't overdo it. I don't know what you're drinking in that cup that you have. But, but it's good to have you, Ebi. I'll come back for you to introduce yourself, but I just want to welcome you to the program.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Chuma, see, at the risk of putting you on the spot, why have, because we've passed the point of that we don't know where these people are. When I was in Nigeria for governorship, during that governorship time, Chuma, they showed me. We went through every village. I went to places that, if I tell you, say, if you ask me, Chidi, why did you go there? But I went hunting for votes. We went inside everywhere. And the villagers would tell me, there's a place they told us, you people need to go. I'm like, what? I say, because it's the place that kidnappers stay. They know. So they know this is where they stay. They know inside their village that they will normally pass that route. And if you remember that incident where there was a communal clash between, according to you, the people that how did you even say, the people that in the news they call them uh,
Farmers headers clash.
farmers headers clash, but to us, Fulani headsmen. Let me talk that one, not be you. So there was an incident where there was a clash, and I was supposed to go and take some things to the people. Politics now. So because the government didn't do anything, I arranged with someone to quickly buy food stuff so that I would take it to the people who were affected and use that to score political point. Let me now reveal it. So, but I think I don't know, but somehow maybe the local, I think it was secretary to the local government also heard about this also, and they quickly now rushed to the place to try to interact with the people. Do you know what happened? On their way back, you must know that story, Chikoma. One of them was they ambushed them and they killed this guy. This was the same road that we were supposed, this was the same thing that I was supposed to go and do. In fact, the reason we didn't go that day was that Nigerian syndrome, the person I gave money to, just the money went into voicemail. So they couldn't buy what they were supposed to buy for us to visit that place. And when these government officials came, because I had made statements and I said the government doesn't care, they didn't go to see them. This person was killed, like as in real killed, they died. So people know where these people stay. Chukuma, please help us
Uh,
understand
uh,
why
uh,
the the government
uh,
has
uh,
refused to go and bring this. That, or just destroy the camps. Enugu is so small
uh,
now. Look at the one they did on
yeah,
Nsukka side, Nkano side, Isuzu side. They are all within a small radius.
yeah. The truth of the matter, just like I think is it Benny pointed out, yeah, that some people actually gains either politically or economically from the insecurity situation, and I quite agree with that. For those of us that are really on ground and who are truly concerned with the situation, we understand that yes, there are really two dimensions to this. Yes, you have the very fact that some of these things are politically motivated, but beyond that, you also have like a situation where the challenges overwhelm the current security architecture, as it were. Because, like for the common police officer that is out there, don't forget, he's like a core target, an enemy to those bad boys. And of course, every nation have baggages. No matter how formidable your security is, you still have those that want to, do crime, right? And Nigeria is also not immune from that category of people. But then, the truth of the matter, like especially when it has to do with maybe what we may want to refer to like as ethnic oppression or attempted genocide, where like I can tell you, it's sadly one of the things we've witnessed. Maybe you report to the police. The very popular case that happened in Nemo is well known to everyone. The very first time we had a commissioner for police that is an Igbo man, which also makes a case. And one of the arguments I've always put forth that apart from like the exclusion in all of the 17 dimensions of security architecture in the nation at the national level, exclusion of the Igbo man, even in his own very states, all the 5 states in the southeast, you don't have an Igbo man as the commissioner, right? So when you have like people from other parts of the country managing our internal security, then whose interest are they going to protect? Because I think everything about democracy, especially when you come to like a country made up of different ethnic nationalities, nobody will protect your interest more than your own self. And more than, I mean, you are not going to a Yoruba man or an Hausa man, as the case may be, with all due respect to every tribe, cannot be more Igbo than the Igbo man in terms of protecting the interest. And that is why, like, I believe when you talk about internal security, it has to be organic. It has to like integrate, including the indigents that are on ground. Because when you talk about police, you are not talking about like foreigners we brought in. They are brothers and sisters who has volunteered to work with us. That when we see something and say something, they should be able to like wade into action. But then for many of them, like I mean, one of the things that will also confirm to you that okay, this is not just all about the police being compromised. As you are counting the number of people, citizens that have been killed, you also count as much as police officers that have lost their lives, stations that has been burnt down, right? And then including those of them like, I mean, for every person that is guarding politician at the moment in the southeast, you know that your life is not safe as a police officer. Because when they come for that man, we, like in the case of Oba, we saw how, about 3 to 4 police officers lost their lives,
But
and his own self was in a bullet. Yes.
Chukuma, sorry. I am going to leave the policeman alone
Okay.
because the buck stops as at the table of the man who is the chief security officer of the state, which in this case is the governor. What is the governor doing?
Okay. In terms of what the governor is doing, let me say that at the moment, right, with the way the issue of policing in Nigeria is, the governor is very much limited. I've had a personal conversation with him about what exactly is happening. Yes, the only you take claim I could lay hold on is on the fact that, okay, on monthly basis they get to receive the security voting. But beyond that, the policing as it is at the moment, I want to give the instance of that Nemo. The governor got an intelligence 3 hours before the Fulani herdsmen struck and killed up to 100 people. The news reported 20. But of course, eyewitnesses in the community said that it was massive and people were massively buried in a mass grave. The governor got a tip of the intelligence related to the commissioner of police, who was then like the first Igbo man posted to Enugu State. And he said he was waiting for final order, that there was a counter instruction from the IG of police. The governor pleaded everything he did to get the police and the GOC to intervene fell on deaf ears until after they struck. And the only thing the governor could do was to shed tears. So the situation as it is now is that we have a conflicting situation in the same constitution, where the constitution tells us the governor is the chief security officer of the state, but at the same time, that the final order to the commissioner of police doesn't come from the governor, but of course must be ratified by the IGP of the police. But I think, in all honesty, like in different conversations like this, I've tried to blame the governors also for 3 major reasons. First is that under the same constitution, the police council, which is empowered by the constitution, is actually made up of the president, the IG of police, the chairman of the Police Service Commission, and all of the governors. And they are actually charged with the responsibility as a board to come up with a template for the organization and the administration of the police force. But as we speak, for the past 8 years, this council has not met. Because I believe if they meet like once in a while to like organize, administer, come up with policies, recommend how to fill those gaps that exist in terms of, a situation where a governor could give instruction to a commissioner of police and the person is waiting for it to be ratified by the IGP, it's no more sustainable. If you are saying that should happen, then let the Nigeria police, as it were, be called the federal police. If it's going to be Nigeria police, then it has to be truly Nigerian.
So what
The
you're
commissioner
saying
of
now,
police,
what you're saying
yes,
now, Chukuma, is that the police in a state is beyond the governor. The governor does not have control over police in his state.
it doesn't. As a matter of fact, for special events, including down to the people that will be detached to him, the governor seeks for approval. It's an aberration, and it ought not to be so. If the
Okay.
governor is to do a program now in Obara Square and requires as much police officers more than normal, once they are above 20, he must need to like reach out to the IGP of police to seek for approval for his men to be released. And it ought not to be so, because the argument is that this at the moment is called the Nigeria police.
You
And
know
we
what?
have 3 tiers of government.
See, I understand. I appreciate your explanation and your insight into this thing, Chukuma, but I can tell you something for sure. When someone, because these are things that I know is technically the situation. Okay, I know this is the situation with the Nigeria police and the governor. But you see, when you're going to run for governorship, like I did, you must have told yourself that in a situation where I do not have access to this kind of things, what am I going to do? If you do not have that figured out, because I know, but I don't want to drag into that. I know that the governor, there are moves that the governor can make when life is at stake, but he will make that move and take a risk that might, it will affect him personally. It might lead to him almost sacrificing his job. But are you prepared to do that to save lives? And that's just like Benny was talking before. In Nigeria, if it happens to one person, haba, if it happens right now that it has happened to 100 people, if you're talking about 10 people, they will make reference. This one is 10 people. What about the Nemo that 100 people died? And you're talking about your 10 people that died. So
Eh,
if we begin to see that even one person dying is serious and the governor has to do, there are 1,001 things that the governor can do within his power, that after you will now begin to, you see, it's better to err on the side of caution. Okay, you did this because you already know you can't, it's only a tree. Okay, imagine that those people are the governor's father and mother. He will just sit down, not do anything, not even try to evacuate them. Would they stop him from evacuating people? But like I said, I don't want to go into that right now. Let me go to Abby. I'll come back to you. Abby, thank you so much. Please introduce yourself, and then I will tell you how I want you to come into this discussion.
Well, I'm Ebenezer Komalafe. I go Ebi mostly on social media. Um, I live in Canada, like Dr. Chidi, and I'm just enjoying the holiday right now. I have my hands full with some young people around me, so it's a nice time. The year is ending, and we are appreciative that we're still living despite so many killings out there, and many people are gone anyways.
I know.
So it's my pleasure to be here. I wanted to be here earlier, but I had to even squeeze this time right now.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I
And I must
appreciate
say, is this Benny? Uh, I'm trying to see the
Obai.
Obayi, uh, Dr. Chidi. Is that the
Yes,
Benny?
yes.
Oh,
he's,
okay. It's
he's
good
the
to see
one.
you. It's
So
good to see your
you're
face.
getting to
Okay.
see him face to face.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. And
Benny,
thank you,
we're
Chukuma.
planning.
Good analysis from Chukuma.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
see, again, Abby is one of those kind of people that I try to relate with. It's not, it's the kind of people that when they call me, it doesn't enter into voice message. I tell you, when you call me and you get a lot of voice message, it's deliberate. Go and check your life and what you're doing
And
with your life.
sir, I'm just having espresso, black coffee. Okay.
No problem. Whatever you tell
Uh,
us, we'll believe you.
the thing be like Guinness, right? It be like
It's
Guinness,
okay. We'll
but they know
believe
they
you.
drink Guinness
We'll
for this
believe
kind of
you.
small cup. You see?
Okay.
Anyway,
Um,
Abby, Abby,
Dr. Chidi, can I say
I,
something before Ebe?
I'm coming. I'm coming, Benny. I'm coming, Benny. Abby is an IT professional. He's a hardcore activist, and his activism is not just Nigerian. It's not just based in Nigeria. He's an international activist, and he does activism in so many areas where a lot of people may not be exposed to it, but it's very impactful, and he has so much knowledge about things that happen around the world that affects us in ways that we do not know.
No,
I dare say
doctor,
so.
not let them stop me for US border.
Don't worry, don't worry. Some things that affect us subliminally that you don't know until it's full blown. He knows all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, Benny, just make your quick remark, and I'll go back to Abby.
Okay. Yes, I just wanted to highlight a point. I understand what Chikuma talks when he talks about police and the lack of um, infrastructure and the whole support range and the whole hierarchical thing. Now, those are policy issues that are across board. And as I mentioned, um, I've lived and worked in South Africa for years. They also have similar problem, but they don't have the kind of challenges we have in Nigeria. Why? Because in as much as the police is controlled centrally, they still have community policing forums. The police gets involved. Every police outlet has a forum where they engage with the community. They have a social policing system where the police engage with the community. It happens in the West. You have to be involved. You can't sit in the police station and just between Gura and kola nut and expect miracle to happen. Whether they are whether they are indigenous people or they are foreign people, they have to create that culture of engaging with the people as police officers. That's the way they gather information. That's the way they can get support from the people. They have to introduce the aspect of community policing where the people know their rights, they know what to do. How many times have you ever seen a policeman conducting workshops in schools, in communities? Like in South Africa, the police goes about conducting workshops, telling young people, telling people what to do when you identify a crime or a crime scene. This is what to do. This is how to protect the crime scene. This is how to protect someone that has been involved in crime. How many times do we have police doing that? They can still do that. They don't need um the governor or whosoever to give them the go ahead to carry out such activities. Those are the things they can do on their own. They can even generate fundraise locally. When you talk of the southeast, we always boast of things like we have rich people, we have well-to-do people. How are they harnessing those resources? And if we move it away from the police, yes, we know that the traditional rulers, they don't have so much power, but they have influence. Rather than wait for Christmas to get gifts and presents from the people returning from their abroad, why don't they use it as a platform to engage on how to um, gainfully rechannel those resources and say, look, we know you are from our community, we know this is what you're doing, but this is how you can help our community deal with the challenges of um, youth unemployment. This is how you can. They have to be purposeful. If everybody's waiting for the police, if everybody's waiting for the army, if everybody's waiting for the governor, nothing is going to happen. We have a system that worked. Before now, if you look at the colonial era, they used that system to police. Why can't we use it now? They used our traditional rulers, they used our community forums. Why can't we use it now?
Benny, can I tell you one thing? See, if you think that the police in Nigeria does not know the community, you're making a very big mistake. They know more than you. All the crooked places, they know where they get the toughest Igbo.
And
They
and
know
they know the
they
criminals
know all
also.
the criminals. They know
No,
everybody.
I know
They
they
know all the
know them,
house,
but
any
I'm
house.
talking of how they engage. Like,
No,
how
what I'm trying
often
to
do
tell
they?
you, see, I know what you're talking about when it comes to community police. I'm a member of the Black Community Consultative Committee here, and I know how we engage with the police. My foundation, when I go to distribute things, I go with the police, we go to communities, they hand over things, they play basketball. I know what you're saying. I'm saying that it's just a problem with our the leadership, at that leadership level. If they get it right, they know how to harness this. They know what to do with the police. But because they just allow them to just behave the way they want to behave, That's why these things happen to the way it makes us look like we are not. Forget about the sophistication of modern day community policing. We have that where we're like Ephraim said, these are our brothers and sisters now. They come to market on once they remove their uniform, they know where police people they like to hang out in the happening places, all the joints, they know it, and they communicate with people, they know. But it's just that the system is not designed. The leadership doesn't have the willpower to do the right thing. But let me quickly go to Ebi. Ebi, you are international. You are vested in what goes on around the world internationally, and I don't know how you see. Now we're talking insecurity. There's so many things that we would have been talking about, but we can't seem to move away from this insecurity. With everything that goes on in Nigeria and what you know that goes on around the world, do you think there is a relationship with Nigeria refusing to be better and what goes on around the world? Or you think the situation in Nigeria is just a problem that is caused within Nigerians by Nigerians and can only be solved by Nigerians?
Well, I'll just say my opinion, really. I mean, um, just like Benny said, he was asking questions, and these questions, just like you have also responded, that the police knows and we know these things. This is how I'll put it. I can change tomorrow, but as at this morning, and from what I have seen over my life over 50 years, I think the problem of Nigeria and Africa as a whole is divided, like say 60-30, oh sorry, 70-30. 70 being inherent problem and the 30 being the foundational issues or dislocated uh, foundation that we got after um, the colonial guys came and left. And I will zoom in into Nigeria. Nigeria specifically was, worked together. We can wake up today and say we should be one. I mean, I like a big country. I mean, I don't know if Chukuma is also a North American like us. Um, you know,
I'm in Enugu,
so
Enugu, Nigeria. Yeah.
okay, sir. But if you see America, America is not only rich, it's also have good. I mean, the population is also a strength. China has turned population to strength. Nigeria is referred today as the uh, largest black nation. It's very good. I mean, it's an edge. If we can translate that capacity into productivity, like one of the leaders may say, and even a couple of them. Uh, but we have refused to do that. And we also, in the 30% that I'm saying, is that the people that sit down and take whatever is stolen from Nigeria and they sit on it and they collect it and they don't say nothing. And they even call our president an example of democracy. When you have that president have violated so many civil rights, principles, violated court orders, did all the unimaginable things, has not even proven to have compassion for people who are being killed. He would rather jump and congratulate the president of Morocco for one bike that fell down. That those Moroccans, just like Benny said, make a simple thing to be a general thing so that we can kill it. He will congratulate them, but they will slaughter 42 people in cold blood on a farm. He will not say nothing. They will kill a whole village in Benue. He will not say nothing. He will invite them to come. And then you have in the West the president of one of the most powerful nations whose interest he's pursuing will call that president of in Nigeria an example of democracy. So their hands are not out of this thing. Are they enjoying it? We've seen so many videos of how the West want to keep Africa under. But even if somebody wants to keep me under, the day we are no, now that day the thing finish. That is the part of the 70% that is in our hands. Who stops us from organizing a proper security architecture, just like the three of you have analyzed? Look at the question Benny is just throwing. I was just smiling. That do they want to say it's only Benny that knows this? Chidi knows, Chukuma knows, everybody knows, and even the other bigger Chukuma in Anambra, your namesake, he knows. Everybody knows, but we are just refusing to do nothing. We're just refusing to do nothing. And I don't, in fact, attire, I don't know the answer again. Make I just talk pidgin,
You
you
know,
know, but it's intertwined.
Yeah, Chid, let me, yeah, yeah, let me say something like, in all honesty, I appreciate your submissions, right? Quite enriching. But let me disagree a bit with the fact that we have refused to do nothing. Honestly, like in all cases, like we know, because when you talk about the security, even amongst themselves, you have whether within one particular agency, either intra-agency rivalry or inter-agency rivalry. Maybe where you even have like instances of somebody from within the force, maybe either the police force, collaborating with criminals to share intelligence. Instances where you have like some security men being ambushed is often caused by having like an insider. They could have like an insider within the force that shares intelligence with them. And one of the things that is really causing like all of this, like when you look at like Chidi keeps citing instances of like what's happening in Canada and all the rest of it. I mean, I had a conversation with one police officer, in Nigeria, and he told me something. He said, for crying out loud, how much is the salary of a police officer? He has maybe probably 2 to 3 kids, and then maybe his salary is less than 100,000 naira, right? Just about $100 per month. If you are to assess that by black market, which is the only way we get, so just about $100 to $150 per month. You have 3 kids, and then you now give him a gun, a rifle that is worth up to 3 million naira, and ask him to secure the nation. And he knows that the very moment that he gets killed, the wife and the kids are driven out of, out of the barracks. How do you expect such a man to really be happy? Take all of the risk to protect lives and all the rest. So, like, the problem is actually like it has too many dimensions. I've actually seen some honest police officers, they want to act, but the fact remains that when they look at those they even want to confront, including down to the arms they have, those guys seems to be more equipped than what the
Yeah.
police officers have at their
Then
disposal.
we're not disagreeing, Chukuma. You didn't disagree with me. In fact, I'm
Uh,
not even talking about the individualistic aspect of things. I'm talking about the structural aspect of things. I mean, the question is, why is the salary of a policeman not a living wage? Why? In
okay.
Canada, all these police, that chidi you see there has plenty of them as friends. I mean, they're his friends. In they talk with them. Police here are not reputable thing. Maybe say
yeah,
if my age was if I didn't have a profession that I love so much, and when I came to Canada, I will have joined. Very reputable. They're not perfect. Okay, we have bad eggs among them, and they are easily choked out because the bad eggs are the system. They quick expose them, which goes to the structure. Now, the structure, I'm talking about the structure. The individual policeman, for heaven's sake, what is he going to do? It's not, even the small salary is not being paid. All right, talking is structure. The structure, and I think it's an intentional thing that the structure remains so that those currently are, because once you are lucky to fall into those very small percentage of people holding the larger populace in control, in check, you quickly forget where you're coming from. That's just what I found out. I think it's uh,
Yeah, okay, but let me also add to that. You see, part of the thing is we think we are helpless. What were the agenda points when we had the SARS protest? One of the challenges I have with the way we do advocacy in Nigeria is we don't often have points. If we know that the welfare of the police is a problem, why are we not raising? Because like I told you, one of the things that I do in I've done in South Africa for years is advocacy, and one of the things we do is if we notice that a policy is not working well, we will make sure that the parliament will not sleep until that policy is changed. We will bombard the president, we'll make sure we'll use the media, everyone, the president, nobody's going to sleep until that policy is changed. Why are we not doing that? Why are we not using those protests to say, let's change the welfare of the police? Let's recruit more police because we have the power. In South Africa, the government built a road and put a toll. They didn't sleep until they removed that toll system. If you Google e-toll in South Africa, that's the thing you'll see. We made sure we said we already pay. People were already paying through. The fuel tax and all that. You cannot overtax the people. The government did not sleep until that toll system was removed. They didn't have to kill
Oh,
anyone. They didn't
oh,
have to it's the power of the people. And that's what we're saying. We have the power here. Why are we not channeling those powers? We know the problem. Why are we not using like this platform? We say we know that the welfare of the police is the problem. Let's start from top to bottom. If you are going to campaign to become the governor or to become whatever, are you going to pass a bill even at your level on the welfare of the police? We see the governors, passing bills to, take care of their welfare all the way down to their ancestors, when they are dead, and we say nothing. But we don't ask them, okay, after your furniture allowance and all that, what is going to happen to the police, because that is what secures our that is what keeps us safe, so we can keep voting for you.
we have, as a people, I think we are complacent. We have been very docile. You're right, and you will not. I don't know. It's very complicated now when we start analyzing Nigeria, because at some point you just wonder why. Um, and when we catch a small thief, you see how we just destroy that person or put tire on his neck, and but the bigger thieves, we go and do rankadede in our churches. We not identify them. They call this eminent excellency in mosque everywhere. In the society, their statement. So young people these days, they just think that if you want to steal, you better steal big, so that at worst you go into bargaining or plea bargain, and then you keep the rest. Our value system is also totally skewed. And one thing we must note is that the more this thing carry on, the more really entangled the knot that is forming is going to be to unknot,
See,
except we end up in a big bang, which is AKA. Yeah, I like that picture. That's one of our very proud man here.
yeah, this is
You know, you
Sergeant
know.
Bassi.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead. You
Sorry,
want to say
sorry,
something?
Abby. This is
Yeah.
Sergeant Bassi is a member of the Toronto Police Force. Is one of the best in the force here, and he's Nigerian. He's a member of our community. We've done a lot of things with him, you know. And these are just like so many of us here too. We do a lot of things, and people respect us here. What I'm trying to say is that we have the people, we have the resources. Nigerians are sharp everywhere we go. The aspect I want to touch a little bit that is confusing to me, and that is veering off of
Wow,
what he said, is
wow,
when
wow,
you talk,
wow.
when you t- when you talk about the influence of the West, in what goes on in our internal security, it's very very confusing, because the same people who see what is going on, like Ebi said, will turn around and be saying that the president of Nigeria is someone who promotes democracy, is someone who does this and does that, and they know very well that what he's doing is not good. During when the girls were kidnapped during the time of Jonathan, we sent American intelligence here. CIA was here. The Canada even said they were sending people. I don't remember whether they sent people. The French sent people. They were training our guys. But when they saw the corruption, when they would tell them this is where maybe I'm even answering the question by myself. When they tell them we have intelligence, this is where the women are, this is where the Boko Haram people are, Nigeria will refuse to do anything about it. We have seen cases of military officers carrying the money that was supposed to be used to equip the military. They carry the money and they go and dump them in banks in US, Canada, and all of these places. And the government knows, they see this money moving. Do you understand? And you wonder why would they keep quiet and see this kind of thing happen? Chukuma, you're a diplomat, so tell me why you think they're keeping quiet.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, of course. The thing. I think, the simplest way I've come to actually understand the issue of government, from Nigeria's standpoint, is the platform to do whatever thing you want to do as an individual, and that is why they can use that platform to amplify whatever good work or good deeds they have for the people. When criminals come, which largely occupy the Nigerian space, they use this like as a platform. I mean, like we've had that instance over time where you say like governors engaged in land grabbing, right? Doing some things that honorable men cannot do,
Oh, sorry, Chukuma. I think your network,
Internet.
you have some network issues.
Okay. Maybe I
Benny,
can just add. Yeah.
go ahead, Benny.
In all honesty, the reality is that every
stealing
government,
monies that they don't need, right? And I
he
mean,
comes
like
in,
I believe
he comes and goes.
Chukuma, we can't hear
a
you.
criminal
You may have to go out and come
is
back. Your network,
a
we can't hear you, Chukuma.
of the thing.
Chukuma, just go out and come back. Your network, okay.
So I
Okay,
think
Benny.
in all honesty, every government owes the duty first to their citizens, and protecting the interest of its internal affairs.
Mhm.
It's the same thing, like most times when people go to the bank, a lot of times they're not going to ask you where did you get the money from, because the bank is after its own business, protecting its own business interests. I'm not saying that it's right that they go about commending leaders that are failures, but
But I think
in
Benny,
my
I
view,
think isn't that just you just said one very nice idea here. I think banks should start doing that. If anybody comes and say, okay, you want to deposit this money, please tell us where you got the money from.
No,
No,
no.
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying it's
No,
a
no, no.
good thing. I'm saying
It's
yeah,
just a thought. I just
yeah.
imagine how
I,
it
I,
will look like. Even in
yeah,
churches now, churches, if anybody wants to give tithes, pastor should say, no, 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 no. Tell us where you got the money from, because
yeah,
or even
yeah. So
offering.
so the point is the presidents can be diplomatic in order to maintain the business and relationship ties to protect their own country. They're not going to come out and tell another country is a bad leader. You know,
But they
ex-
do.
yeah,
They do
But
when
except
they
they
do
choose to. No, no.
when they want to destroy you, and
Exactly.
they will say it if it's what will now lead to achieving their
Exactly.
interests.
Exactly,
yeah,
Benny.
you say if they feel that your activities is not going to protect their own citizens in your country, then they'll speak out. So it still
So,
boils
No,
so,
no,
down
but, but,
to
but
no, no,
no.
no, no, no,
No,
no,
no, no,
no,
Benny.
no, Bennett. You're
No.
too nice a human being, Benny. No, no. And this is where Chidi knows me very well. You
Yes.
see, I can't just hold this. They will say they will repaint you based on their interests.
yeah,
Right now, Africa is the baby that everybody is cuddling and is cozying after.
yeah.
Let's not make this too what we can go into that, but I think we
No, no,
want to
no, no.
narrow
But
it. Okay,
Abby, this is where you're wrong. See, we
okay,
want to do all the hard talk right now because we're going into 2023. So we want to go into
okay,
23
sir.
with our eyes open.
Oh,
I want us
okay,
to
okay, sir.
call names.
Yeah,
Call
okay,
names.
okay, sir. Okay, sir. So Africa and Nigeria being a major part is the golden baby right now. As a matter of fact, I have told people close to me that in the next 20 to 30 years, I may not be here anymore. Maybe the four of us feed on Kulu, depending on where we are in our life, and we might still be here. Africa, for me, from what I have seen in the last 3 years, is going to be the last destination of peace where you will find good living and things that are still very natural in the next 20 to 30 years after the West must have totally self destruct by so many decisions that have been taken right now. So that is by the way. So to come back to the point of they will not, they will, sir. Benny, they will paint you black if painting you black will lead to that their end goal of achieving their interest. They will paint you as white as snow if painting you white as snow is going to lead to their interest. It is not, they do not like us. I do not believe that the powerful countries of this world like any country, both developed or developing. Even they are co-developed, they are just tolerating themselves. There is still a lot of
Tension.
power play being
Yes.
done. And that is what you're seeing right now in Europe and America. Europe, the core side of it that are developed are still subsistent to the USA because of the edge that they have. And that is what, I was in Nigeria recently and I see people analyze the Ukraine war and I smile. And I smile. I just smile because it's deeper than we thought. We, the ordinary people, just jump on discussion on the issues on the surface. We do not know, the deeper thing that the other powers or the constituent power that are in the torso are focusing on. It has nothing to do about the ordinary people. Benny, thank God we're in the same group. You probably see some of my posts, or we'll probably engage in some other things later.
No, no,
But
no. I
that
completely agree with you. Every nation plays based on their personal interest. When I say protection of their own citizens, I'm also talking from I have a lot of
Oh, sorry.
insight.
You mean the citizen of the professing country?
Country, yes,
Oh, sorry.
because
Okay, okay.
yeah,
For
because I
like Biden talked, he's talking to protect his the
Americans.
Americans. Oh, okay. You're right. You're right.
When they give you aid, they are giving you aid to protect their own interests. It has nothing to do with being Father Christmas.
Okay,
I've worked
you're
in the
right.
sector for thousands of years. I know how it works. I mean, back
Okay.
then in Nigeria, we get aid and half of it goes back to US.
It's
You
funny.
know,
And some of these so-called Chidi like NGOs.
They're not like me. I
Uh,
don't get money. I don't get.
eh, eh, no, no, no. Your own. I feel carry hands, through chest. What do they do? I mean, in Africa, most
Yeah,
of them are just simply agents of information that
yeah.
is piggybacking to the source.
of
So
Most of
that's
course,
them.
that's my point. At the
of
end of
course,
the
of
day,
course,
it boils
of
down to
course.
protecting the interest. No country does anything. When I studied policy in Nigeria, that's one of the issues. One of our professors, argued that Nigeria doesn't know how to play the politics. We went to different places just to play Father Christmas, and he told us no country in the world is Father Christmas. When they are giving you $1, they are giving you $1 because they're going to benefit $2 from you. It's going to
Have
protect
you,
their own interest.
Benny?
It's going
Benny,
to achieve something for them.
have you guys imagined that when you see it here, Debbie, you see all the money that they get from every time they're advertising, World Vision, this one, that one, they make millions of dollars. And they show black children that, that the one that they fly, that same picture of that child they've been showing for 20 years. Maybe the child has graduated, is married, they're still showing the picture where they fly. The cameraman allowed fly you to enter the child nose, but he didn't, just because he want to get a picture. Now, and when I come to Nigeria, I'm asking, which village are these people spending this money? Because
Now,
if they
now, now,
spend $1 million in Enugu State will be like abroad.
now,
But no, I
Eddie,
don't see where.
we can take this discussion off here. I can explain to you how the HIV/AIDS fund worked, the PEPFAR project,
Oh
all
my
the
God! No, we need
all
to
the
talk about no,
donations that
Benny.
every
This
all the
channel, no, this channel will bear everything. No, we'll talk about it another day.
all the things that happen, and the whole politics of anti-pro this and that. You see,
No,
some of
no,
these
no, no, no.
things,
When
some
you
of
go and see them declare their income, if you see them declare how much they make from donations and their office, their base in Africa, that thing is more than the budget of a whole country. And yet, I don't see, just take one local government, take one ward as a pilot project and just build school. They're not built. Show me one school that World Vision has built. Show me one hospital. Show me what they say they want to buy goats. Buy a goat for a kid. Come on now. Abba.
Maybe
If,
a couple of years ago, Dr. Chidi, in Canada, maybe they opened their ears now.
of
A
course
couple
now.
of years.
Of course. When they say they
Yeah,
are buying goats, come on
yeah.
now. How much you make for 1 week and buy the whole goat in my village? if they convert that money to goat, that is you have a whole local government filled with goats.
well,
Chukwuma, sorry, your video went off that time, and
well,
but you're
some of
still
us
on.
still
You want to
some of
finish?
us still
Mm.
some of us still tap into it because
Yeah,
we also become
yeah, yeah.
consultants,
I can still hear you.
and then we'll go and we'll go and sit in hotels for 1 week and tell the people the same thing they already know and get
I
paid
beg.
and go back.
Chukwuma, you were
That
you were you were saying
Yeah,
something, and
yeah. I'm
then
with you.
you got cut off.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm following the conversation, and I
Okay.
think, yeah, I think I like the picture that was painted by Obai. You don't get into bank and they want to know where is the money coming from, right?
Yeah.
It's all about your interest, first of all, like protecting the interest. And the thing there, like sometimes I really feel like one of the major problems of Nigeria is that the moment we have strangers as our leaders, not those who are truly Nigerian, who truly are patriotic, they love the nation, they want to serve the nation. I was, in a security training sometime last year ago, right? And one statement was made, like talking about, okay, why is it that when intelligence are shared by different agencies, sometimes there is that rivalry. How do we actually, tackle that situation? And somebody suggested that there should be like a taxing and coordination unit, right? And when the person mentioned that to be able to like harmonize all of the intelligence, and I said, the interesting thing about Nigeria is we set up a committee, right, to find out why existing committees is not working, and then set up another committee to find out why the
Why?
committee that we set up to review the other is not working. Because of course, even the auditor needs auditing in our dear country, right?
And Chukuma, let me ask you a question, please. All those white papers, because every time there's a white paper on this white paper, why must it be a white paper? At the end of the day, they say they release the white paper. Who reads that
Yeah,
white paper? Who implements that
yeah.
white paper?
Because that's where like you now talk about human capital development. Because if you own a business, a small business in Nigeria, hmm, just to employ a receptionist that will do a good job becomes a challenge. When we talk about investing into education and that it should be the costliest venture in any government, in Nigeria, we don't appreciate that. I mean, we see that as, once you have a school, no matter the kind of structure, and you have a teacher, whether the teacher is hungry, whether the teacher is angry, then education is happening. But
And
we've
whether
not
the teacher
invested
is
in that.
teaching, whether the teacher is teaching English with Igbo.
I understand. And it has really impacted us a lot because, like, one of the things I've observed, right? Okay, you get into a firm and a receptionist is asking you any problem. I mean, a receptionist, somebody that is supposed to welcome you, right? Or can I help you? Yes. so, so,
Any
so, so,
problem? I like that. Any
yes,
problem?
yes. You see, public servants. I see them not as public servants, but as public masters. Because somebody that is out there to serve you in the civil service is already behaving like your lord because you came to demand for what should be your rights. I mean, as a taxpayer, right? So this kind of mindset really shows me that there is that disconnect. So the same thing also when we now need people that will secure the nation, because we've not invested in making people to love their nation, in even helping people to understand what is a nation at the first place. Even the history, the travails, what really makes somebody a Nigerian? What is the Nigerian dream? Things people can connect with. And once
Chukuma,
they connect with you,
Chukuma,
then
do you know why I'm
yes,
shaking my head? Because I'm sure
yeah,
Ben is agreeing with you 1000%. This is exactly what he
yeah,
was talking about, having a
yeah,
policy. And another thing you said that I'm sure Ben is shaking his head is when you talk about civil servants. He told me, I think yesterday I was talking with him. He told me about his experience in getting a transcript. It's a project, getting his transcript.
Don't let us go into that transcripting. Oh,
So sorry, Chukuma, I got you. You continue. But it's a project.
I'm not even sure it's. I'm not even sure it's a project because a
No, but
project,
you see,
I mean,
a project
yeah.
should have a start
So
date, a
basically, if you
specific
ask me,
budget, and
right?
this one.
If you ask me,
go ahead, Chukuma. Go ahead, Chukuma. No, I hope you're still here.
okay. So the idea there, right? Which I think every Nigerian anywhere that truly loves the country and hope to see this country transform someday should actually understand. I was talking with a governor, one of the governors in the southeast, and he mentioned something to me. He said, "Have I ever thought of this? That there is no school of government, like where governors actually, go to learn about issue of governance and all the rest of it, right?" And I really could connect with that because when we talk about our heroes past, it's very common in developed nations where you have like people who died as heroes. They were credible. Those their philosophies are institutionalized. So I know in America there's a lot of them, maybe like schools built around Washington, George Washington, that of George Bush. The philosophies that made some of these men, and also know like for Mandela. There's a lot of programs, institute, Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore. So you
But
have the Lee
but
Kuan
but
Yew
but
School of
Chukwuma,
Education. Yeah.
no, I don't agree like that. I don't think that people have to go to school of government to be good leaders. Honestly, the greatest thing a leader needs is the willpower, is the will to do the right thing. Because God is government. Oh, Chukwuma, now you are the governor and president of your household. that is you wake up with that responsibility. Nobody needs to tell you.
Yeah.
In fact, by the time, that's what my pastor used to say. You remember, Benny? My pastor then would say that by the time you hear yourself telling your wife that I am the man, I am the head of this family, you know that you have lost it since, because they don't see you anymore. The fact that you
Uh,
are reminding them means that you have lost it. So you, as
but,
the head of your
but,
family,
but,
you wake up
but
knowing that.
every man finds himself doing that at one time or the other. You have to like start yourself and remind, because you see the thing there, like let me say why I think it's also like important having those institutions, right?
Mm,
I've interacted with these leaders, and honestly, like I serve in a government board at the moment.
mm,
And guess what? The executive chairman of the board, the word executive to the woman means all in all.
mm-hmm,
And I said that executive simply means someone, the chief servant, charged
mm-mm,
with the responsibility to implement the resolutions of the board. And the
mm.
woman was surprised. I mean, we have to start opening dictionary to look up for the word executive.
You're calling
Because in
her a
Nigeria,
servant.
once you say
You actually
executive,
insulted her by calling her a servant. Not executive, is
Yeah,
executive
but
officer.
but
so
She's
so so when
but to
you say
connect
executive,
but to connect Kuma's point, you see, the thing is, it goes back to what I said earlier. It doesn't have to be done by the government per se. In South Africa, they have those institutions set up by political parties. They raise funds. So when you become a councillor under a political party, you go through those institutions to learn.
mm, mm,
They orientate you from that perspective in terms of what it means to be, because they lower the standard. You don't have to be a professor to become a counselor, but you can go through the African National Congress School of Governance to learn what it takes,
I like
to
that.
learn about good governance. So it goes back to my point. It doesn't have to be government setting up those institutions. What are our political parties doing? What are our traditional rulers doing? What our social institutions doing? Like, you
Mm,
remember Chidi, one of the things Pastor Ena used to hammer then was, if it does not exist, society has a responsibility. You remember how he used to say, if you don't have a police station, community come together, build a police station, and ask government to send you the police. I still believe in that
oh
aspect
yes.
of take the people taking the power back to themselves. Let's not wait for government to set up those institutions for us. Let that governor tell his political party to set up an institute within their political party to say, this is how we're going to train people in our cadre to understand governance basics,
But Benny,
voting and all that.
before you start introducing that to us, so we will not build that school when we know that governor collected money to build school and he chopped it, and now he's telling us to build school. Let him bring out the money they gave him for. So why should I build
Benny,
the police station?
Benny,
When
Benny is sounding like someone who's been out of Nigeria for a while.
he has been out of Nigeria.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
but you see the truth, eh? let me, sorry, I have to come in here, but you see the truth, eh? One of the things I've actually found out, yes, you keep seeing me making references to government because I do activism and an advocacy at the same time. And there's one time I actually engaged a senior government official, and I was like, what programs do you have to empower the youth in your community? And guess what she answered me? She says she's printing an empowered exercise books to share to the youth. Empowered exercise books, right? Now, and she was answering me honestly, right? Like I could see the sincerity. Empowered exercise books. Now, we've also seen some people try to do empowerment with machetes. You saw that in Benue, right? And they were advertising that in Facebook. And I mean, when you also talk about like when our own Moalo, right, came back to a whole Nnewi, which is like the richest community in Africa, and was sharing biscuits and juice to the children as like a sort of empowerment, advertising that on Twitter. That was when he had interest. He wanted to run for presidency, right?
Chukuma, how about
Yeah.
Wheelbarrow as well? And then in the north, the one that made a lot of boxes for this shoe shiner that they put in it. Yeah, and he made like one.
Hold on. How about the one that shared rope for tying goats in his community?
These people have been listening to Benny.
No, still the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is that when you engage some of these guys, honestly, that's the best they know. You may just assume that, they know everything, that they would have done better. But when you actually engage them, you discover that it's actually maybe they came to people around them and they said, okay, I need someone come up with an idea. What can we do for young people? And someone said, let's give them barrels
to tie their goods.
You understand? And so one of the things I see, and of course, like the legislators in Enugu State, it's really embarrassing. You see, one of the things we see, virtually all the legislators on their profile picture have, like, if you check on WhatsApp, many of them have the face of the governor, right, as their WhatsApp profile. And you are wondering, where is then the principle of separation of powers? So there is a common analogy that is used in Enugu, that we don't have three arms of government, but the Trinity, right? So it's more or less like the executive, legislative, and judiciary all working together against the people.
Yeah, I mean, let's take it even to the national level, bro. I mean, you see that this current Mama Lawa, whatever, he went in an agreement with the Buhari government, and that was why he became the Senate president anyway. I know it's pre-planned, and everything they bring now stamp, every loan, bam, approved, approved. And we are now hearing that most of this, the process of the approval, is not clear to most of the legislatures. It's just overnight, and things are done. Look at what is happening now with stamp duty. All right, how they went, the committee that is supposed to, the control that Benny is talking about, that is supposed to be the control in engineering, the control. You have to have a control system that gives negative feedback. The person that will oversee the CBN, they make sure he's a town man, his cousin, or whatever. So everything that has to do with the CBN approved, not, and now we're talking about 89.1 trillion now. And
now they're approving salary increment, which they are not going to implement. You approve salary increment 2 months to your, few months to end of your
Then
tenure,
it's only
and
it's
then it
only
becomes the
towards
next government's problem.
no, it's only towards this period now that they begin to show you that they completed this bridge, completed that bridge. Anyway, let's leave that matter. Like,
Yes, sir.
guys, we've done 2 hours. Today is the first edition of this. We're going to be doing it tomorrow and next tomorrow, and then we'll be able to tackle these issues better. But we've been talking about something that's been very, very uh, hard, but let's go a little bit softer. Let's talk about music and movies and celebrities. Let's do that for the next couple of minutes. And what do you guys think? Looking at this 2022, let's start from Nigeria. Music wise, in all genres, what was outstanding to you? Which musicians, which genre of music? What do you have to say about music and movies, and celebrities and things like that? Let me start from you, Chukuma.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to discover Nigerian music is making waves. Like we saw how that played out in the World Cup, right? In several sections, you could literally sing. Maybe you were in a Nigerian nightclub where the whole place is
Mm.
covered with Nigerian music. First day I entered, that's Switzerland this year. That was in May. Just getting into a burger shop, and I saw one Oyibo person singing Buga, which is one Nigeria song also. Like I'm sure many of us have heard the Buga, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
By Kiss Daniel. I mean,
Mm.
the song went very viral, well celebrated, and also like for the music for anti-corruption, the program that was organized recently by the International Anti-Corruption Conference by the U.S. government in Washington, right? And of course, some artists that were lined up from just about 12 nations, like Nigeria was also like voted in one artist from Nigeria to be part of that particular show, which capped up the event. So I really think, okay, fine. If on diplomatic fronts where you have like nations from across the globe participating in Washington, and then also like in Qatar on the sports angle, and then also maybe like in some other regions of which obviously you have Nigerians spread across. I mean, I think it's one thing that if the nation has not fared so well in terms of food diplomacy or gastro diplomacy, maybe where we have like our food widely spread across in some nations. And then we've also not done so well in terms of having our flag flying across in terms of by Nigeria Airways. I would say that when it comes to music, we've done so well. And with the little I've observed, I think it's an industry that we can encourage further.
Yeah, thank you very much. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, Chukwudi said most of it. I mean, if we cannot overtake the Indians in the way they have projected themselves in technology all around the world today, most of the major tech companies, their CEO or CTO or CISO are Indians,
Maybe you said
and they're
something. You say if we cannot overtake them with the way they
as
have
yet, as
protected.
yet,
No, no, but
uh,
let me understand. How has India protected itself?
no, projected,
Okay,
not protect.
projected. Okay, projected. Sorry.
Projected.
Okay, I
Yeah,
get you now.
yeah.
I get you.
As
Okay,
at the moment, I think they
okay.
are leading us in terms of reach and volume
Sure, 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 sure,
and
sure,
spread in
sure.
the technology area.
Okay.
When we bring it down to Africa, Nigeria is still leading in around the world. Outside of Nigeria, Nigerians will be one of the first, will be the top when it comes to the black man that is leading in technology. Nigeria will be number one.
Mm.
Uh, but overall, worldwide, someone that had exported technology resource in the technology field, the India has used their volume back home and their, what the simple thing they have done to train people. Just was it Chukwuma I was talking about? Okay, it was Benny that's talking about grooming people and what has been done in South Africa politically to raise leaders. Indians have spent quite a lot. They've worked hard to spread, develop people in the tech industry, and it's showing. If for now we can catch up with that pretty easily because we have the resource as well. But I'm saying if for now we're still right behind them in that aspect, in the aspect of music, we seems to have no rival. And from my close look, even music also, if properly harnessed, which we're not doing right now, most of these efforts are individualistic. So to even say that the people themselves are not helping themselves is not correct. Individually, the survival instinct and other factors of wanting to do well is what has protected most of these guys to the top. Wizkid was just a young boy there in Lagos. Yeah, Davido is coming from a very affluent home, but he's rich in talent. Pato Ranking, all these people, they're doing really well. Look at Ashake, look at Ara, Ayra, and the real
Area
Asha.
star.
Oh man, these are fantastic music that is resonating not for us Nigerians, but everybody. Music is a universal language. Music is all about producing frequency that affects the brain in a certain way, and you start shaking. It's a remote control. And so it's massive that Nigerian is called for the opening ceremony. Whiskey, a Nigerian artist, is also there for the closing ceremony. Davido. This is massive. This is, I will expect that a sensible government will look and go and take the template of School of Technologies, where they produce just diploma in technology under 8 to 12 or to 15 months in India, and begin to do these things. I mean, harness these talents and see how we can project it more. Just like the Chinese have projected their food everywhere. Chinese restaurant is becoming whatever. Make we too carry this thing. It's a good thing that is happening. In Nigeria now, you go to party, if you go and be putting one kind, all the American here, we are wiping them away. It's being replaced now. You see in America where Nigerian music is top, top three for months. Even you go to some gym in Canada, what they are playing is Nigerian music because the rhythm resonate. So this is a positive thing, I think.
Awesome. Benny.
Yeah. I just want to add that I agree with the idea that Nigerian music is gaining international acceptance. We've done well this year. Um, and just like previous years, a lot of our artists were recognized internationally, won awards, Grammy, and so on. But I want to add to what Ibit said, that we need to harness those um, benefits locally. If you notice, a lot of them are celebrated, globally, but we also need to make sure that it benefits us locally. When you look at what happened before now, when in soccer, for instance, when we started having the likes of the Okocha, the Nwankwas, and so one of the things that they were able to do was what like Canada and America did, which was when they made it out there, they set up um, facilities and institutions to help more people develop their talents, groom more people to rise up to their level. So, one of the things I would like to see is that celebrated musicians, with the help of government and other institutions, find a way to start to grow that locally. Um, like helping people in Nigeria understand the basics of what it means to be a DJ, School of Music and Art, which exists a lot in North America. Um, how to groom more people. I don't believe that, like people will tell you, oh, it will be oversaturated. Yes, we have a lot of people that started building sports clubs in Nigeria to train young people, but we still have not been able to groom enough people that can play um, the Nigerian team all the way to the World Cup. So I don't think you can have too much of anything. Um, Similar, I know several people had that vision, like when Donald Duck started the idea of building a team village in Calabar. I don't know what happened to those. My point is, when we have these opportunities, let's harness it. Like David said, that the Chinese and the Indians have a way of, when something is working for their people, they put in more resources to make it grow. If it's technology, they put in more effort to make to have more people developing in shipping it around all over the world. If we are doing well right now in music, entertainment, and art, let's get a way to get the government institutions, those that are making it, to invest more, to grow more people, to raise more people that we can also export to, to continue. Um, that becomes what we're exporting, to the world. Like um, those in Bollywood have exported their, those ones, and some of them are celebrated in Hollywood. A lot of people in Hollywood now of Indian descent, you know, products of Bollywood. So I'm saying, like, it's something we should explore,
Yeah.
invest in the area.
Yeah, thank you so much, Benny. And see, that would be the place we're going to be rounding up our discussion today. And one thing that stands out to me, and guys, don't forget that we'll be having this discussion again tomorrow at the same time. I'm going to have some of our guests here joining me, and I'm going to have other guests joining me. So please make sure that you share the program and you share it amongst your friends so that we'll have more people discussing these issues. Some people find it difficult to sit down and talk, but that's also one of the problems that we have. We run away from things that involve brain work, but this is the best time to do it. This is the best time to sit down, analyze this year, and in doing that analysis, you'll be able to see where you got it right and where you got it wrong, and you'll be able to plan for the next year. But if you keep dodging this kind of things, you never get better. So I really want to thank all of you for coming on and speaking beautifully. And one thing I'm taking away from this is the fact that it is important that right now, because it will not always be like this. That's what people forget. This wind of Afro beats, it's not going to be there forever. Some other thing will reign tomorrow. But while the eyes of the world is on us, we better maximize this opportunity. I used to be the kind of person that when I see people, when they started having this school of football, I was like, I went it aside, school of football. Football that everybody knows how to play on the road. Who taught Okocha? Who taught Finidi? Who taught Rashidi Yakini? Who taught all those people? But I have seen that this later became such a big deal that right now it is those football academies that produce world-class players right now, people that go into professional football. So it is a good thing to do. Even private individuals, this is the time to start a school where you can teach people music, teach them Afrobeat, prepare them to be musicians so they understand, because there's the talent part and there's the business part. A lot of times, people who have talent who don't understand the business part of things, they don't go far. They just become a flash in the pan. And when that music or that genre is no longer reigning, you just become dumped in the garbage of history. But thank
Can I
you.
can I throw a lighter note for my
Go,
exit?
yeah, go ahead.
I come from a state where the governor that I just came in is a dancer.
The dancing governor.
Eh, I hope that he can turn that to money for my state. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ebi.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chukuma. Chukuma,
Thank you.
that Chukuma. I'm hoping that you're listening to us, because Chukuma
Yeah.
builds schools. He has a lot of schools and he does events too. So Chukuma, this could be a sign for you. I hope you're going
Yeah.
to capitalize on it. But thank you so much, Chukuma.
Yeah.
In fact, one
Thank
last
you.
word from everybody. Say bye to our guests as we round up. Let me start from you, Benny.
Okay, yeah, the key takeaway from for me from this is that as a society we need to start challenging things ourselves. We need to start asking questions, and we need to ask questions until we get answers. We shouldn't just ask one question and keep quiet. So as we go into next year, my encouragement is that as Nigerians, let's start asking questions. Let's hold our leaders at all levels accountable, and let's roll our sleeves. If somebody's not doing it, let's jump in and do it, like like what you say that Chukuma is doing. Let individuals get involved, start doing something, because at the end of the day, it's for everyone's benefit. Let's not just wait for the imaginary person, to come and do something, like the Igbo saying that the goat that belongs to everybody dies of starvation, because everybody will continue to wait for the next person, to feed the goat. But if somebody takes the responsibility and say, I'm going to feed the goat, eventually the goat is going to feed,
Thank you so
it's
much,
going to
Benny.
survive.
Thank you, Benny. Abby,
Well, I just feel that as a country, we need to, while I agree with what Benny says, but we need to be very fundamental in our approach as a country. I feel that the country is in serious disarray. We need uh, to come together, and that coming together will require a very focused leadership that brings everybody together to a table, and we should really, really discuss how we want to make the country better. We cannot continue like this, as one of my favorite human right and activists is trend in his hashtag. We cannot continue like this. The country needs some very visionary, determined, focused leadership that brings everybody together. We are different people, but we are the same people. And we can if we come to a round table to determine that template on how we will work together as components in software, you have add-ons that comes with, and then you build APIs to connect to different things, and you produce a unified output. The Nigeria need to work that way, just the way the developed countries have done. We need to do
th-
that.
thank you so much, Abby. Chuma, finally.
Yeah. So for really pushing for the things that matter to us, as in one way or the other being advocated by us. I think one of the key things I see lacking is strategic communication. So politicians understand that some issues that are of importance, we started today. The next week, once it's up in the news, and after some time, we are no longer talking about it. So part of the strategy moving forward would actually be, how do we keep the things that matter to us, the issues that matter to us, in the news for as long as it need to be there before changes are effected. And most importantly, one of the things I've also discovered about politicians, they are very smart enough. Like if you're observant, when it has to do with maybe things like World Cup or any events that we unify either the nation or we distract the nation, that is the time like they kind of like sneak in some policies by the back door. And over time, you now discover that what they do is okay. Try to help us, like refocus us to talk on issues that are of less importance than the main thing. And let me just use this to tidy it up. Like in the case of the issue of the subsidy, whether it is real or not, nobody is really talking about having a refining capacity, right? And over time, that has been lost in the conversation. And the issue of the subsidy, whether it's a scam or no scam, is still an issue. So I think holding the right conversations would actually help the nation to move forward, and also ensuring that it's up in the news for as long as it needs to be there before the needed change, for the needed change to be effected.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chugoma, and thank you so much, you, our viewers, for watching and for sharing this. And on behalf of Dr. Erica and everyone who helps us bring these things to you, my name is Dr. Chidi, and I'll see you guys in our next broadcast. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.